The rumble of Harleys shattered the quiet afternoon. Children froze mid-play as black jackets flashed under sunlight. But amid the thunder, a tiny voice rose, shaking innocent. "Sir, will you buy my bike?" The engine slowed, and before anyone could breathe, the angels saw the truth that would change everything. Before we start the story, tell us, where in the world are you watching this from? And if you enjoy our stories, please consider subscribing to our channel. It'll help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers and keep sharing more inspiring content with you. The convoy rolled down Ashford Lane, engines echoing like distant thunder over cracked asphalt. Locals peeked through curtains, some afraid, some curious. At the front rode rider Wolf Kane, captain of the Hellsangels Redridge chapter. Behind him, 10 bikes moved like a heartbeat, loud, precise, unstoppable. The smell of hot chrome and gasoline filled the air. Then he saw her, a little girl, maybe 6, standing beside a faded pink bicycle with a hand-drawn "for sale" sign. Her hair tangled from wind, her sneakers scuffed white. Ryder slowed, boots scraping pavement as he stopped before her. She blinked up at him, brave but trembling. "Please, sir," she said, voice trembling but steady. "Buy my bike. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." Silence swallowed the street. The other bikers killed their engines one by one, until all that was left was the quiet hum of wind and the ache of something heavy in every man's chest. Ryder knelt, leather creaking, meeting her at eye level. "What's your name, kiddo?" "Mira," she whispered, clutching the handlebars like a lifeline. Her hands were tiny, her nails dirty, her eyes far too old for her years. Behind her, under a thin maple tree, a woman sat slumped against the trunk, pale, still, wrapped in a hospital blanket. Ryder's breath caught. "That your mom?" Mira nodded. "She said not to bother people. But she's hungry. I thought if I sold my bike we could get bread." Ryder looked at his brothers. No one spoke. Tank, the biggest of them, looked away, jaw tight. Hawk the medic muttered, "Jesus." Ryder pulled out his wallet and placed a few folded bills in her hand. "Keep your bike, sweetheart. We'll handle this." Her eyes widened. "You mean Mommy can eat now?" Ryder nodded once. "Yeah, but first you tell me who took everything from her." The question hung in the air like smoke, heavy, waiting for truth to ignite it. Mira hesitated, looking toward her mother. "It was her boss," she said quietly. "Mr. Hensley, he said Mommy got sick too much. Said she wasn't worth the money." Ryder's jaw tightened. The name was familiar. Hensley Corp., the biggest employer in Redridge. They sponsored city events, paid for local billboards, and pretended to care. Hawk swore under his breath. "He's that charity guy, right? Donates on TV." "Yeah," Ryder muttered. "Looks good for cameras. Burns souls behind the scenes." He rose, his shadow long across the pavement. Tank Viper grabbed food, water. "Hawk, check on her mom." They moved instantly. This wasn't charity. This was duty, the kind that came from old scars and silent codes. Ryder watched as Hawk knelt by the woman, checking her pulse. "She's weak," he murmured. "Haven't eaten in days, dehydrated." Mira clung to her mother's hand. "Will she be okay?" Ryder's voice softened just enough to break the silence. "She will be now. You've got people watching over you." By the time dusk settled, the angels had set up camp in the old parking lot beside the park. A portable stove hissed softly as Tank cooked canned soup, the scent drifting through the air. Mira sat beside her mother, now wrapped in Ridge's spare leather jacket, sipping broth from a tin cup. Her cheeks had color again. Ryder stood a few feet away, leaning against his Harley, eyes on the horizon. The storm clouds above Redridge glowed orange from the setting sun. He'd seen too much of this world. Greed wearing polished shoes, pain hiding in silence. Tank joined him, arms folded. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Ryder nodded slowly. We find Hensley quietly. You planning to talk or tear his world down? Ryder smirked faintly. Both. Depends how he answers. Behind them, Mira's laughter, small, bright, cut through the evening. Ryder's face softened. He hadn't heard laughter like that since his own daughter's voice. Years, buried in a war he still carried. Night deepened, stars reflecting off chrome. The angels rested near the fire, their cuts catching the flicker. Red Ridge chapter, embroidered wings like flame. Hawk sat beside Mira, helping her fix the loose chain on her bike. This one's tough, he teased. Maybe you'll join us one day. She giggled. Do you need a pink bike rider? Laughter rippled through the camp. Even Ryder smiled. But inside, something stirred, an ache between memory and purpose. He looked at Clara, Mira's mother, sleeping peacefully now. There was resilience in her stillness, the kind that didn't break, just bent until the world forgot to crush it. Viper leaned over. Boss, you think that guy'll listen? Ryder's expression hardened. No, men like Hensley never listen till the noise finds their doorstep. The fire cracked. Above, thunder murmured over the hills, distant but coming. Ryder knew that sound. It wasn't weather. It was the storm he was about to start. By morning, the Red Ridge chapter roared toward downtown, engines splitting the mist. The city awoke to thunder rolling through its heart. Glass towers reflected their approach like steel giants watching gods descend. Ryder led, face unreadable beneath mirrored shades. They stopped in front of Hensley Industries, chrome letters shining above a spotless marble lobby. To passing crowds they looked like chaos, but for Ryder and his crew this was balance. The receptionist froze when they entered, 12 bikers in leather and silence. Ryder didn't shout. He simply said, "Tell your boss the angels are here." His tone carried more weight than any threat. Moments later, the glass doors opened, and William Hensley himself stepped out. Tailored suit, silver tie pin, eyes too polished to reflect guilt. "If this is about donations, Ryder cut him off. "It's about a little girl selling her bike so her mother can eat." The air thickened. Behind Ryder, boots scraped marble. Behind Hensley, pride faltered. Hensley's smirk wavered. "You people don't understand business," he said sharply. "Layoffs happen. It's not personal." Tank stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Starving a mother ain't business, it's cruelty." Security moved, but one look from Ryder froze them in place. He walked to Hensley's desk and placed something on it, a folded piece of cardboard. Hensley frowned, opening it slowly. It was Mira's for sale sign. Crayon letters smudged by small hands, corners stained from tears. "You see this?" Ryder's voice was low, raw. "That's the price of your success. A 6-year-old trying to trade her childhood for food." For the first time, Hensley looked away. "You're lucky," Ryder continued. "We're not here to wreck your glass castle. We're here to remind you what you broke." The room was dead silent, except for the faint hum of Harley engines outside. Hensley's pride trembled under the weight of something rarer than fear, shame. Outside, news had already started to spread. Phones filmed from sidewalks, reporters whispered. The sight of the hellsangels parked outside a CEO's office was headline gold. But Ryder didn't care. He wasn't chasing cameras. He was chasing truth. Hensley leaned back, voice quieter now. "What do you want from me?" Ryder didn't hesitate. "I want you to make things right. Not just for her. For everyone you crushed for a number on a balance sheet." Hensley's hand trembled as he reached for a pen. "You can't fix a company overnight." "Then start with a family," Ryder replied. "Feed them. Pay what's owed. Maybe then you'll sleep better than your conscience." For a long moment the man said nothing. Then with a breath like defeat he nodded. "I'll see it done!" Ryder turned, his brothers following silently. No threats, no violence, just justice that roared louder than fear. By dusk, the angels returned to the park. The air smelled of rain and warm soil. Clara was awake now, sitting on the blanket near the fire. Her face looked brighter, but her eyes still carried the exhaustion of years. Mira ran up as soon as she saw the bikes. "You came back," she shouted, clutching her tiny bicycle. Ryder knelt beside her. "Told you I would." She pointed to her mother. "Mommy smiled today." Ryder smiled softly. "Good. That's how it should be." Tank unpacked boxes from the truck, groceries, medicine, a folded envelope with bills. "Courtesy of Hensley Corp," he muttered dryly. Clara looked up, confused.
"He gave this?"
Ryder nodded once. Sometimes monsters remember they're human. Her lips trembled, eyes glistening. "I don't know how to thank you." "You already did," Ryder said quietly. "You raised a girl brave enough to ask for help." That night, the angel stayed until the stars came out. Mira fell asleep by the fire, her small hand still clutching the handlebar of her bike. Clara sat beside her, silent tears slipping down her cheeks, not from sadness but relief. Ryder sat on his Harley, staring into the flames. The crackle reminded him of old scars, of things he couldn't fix, but maybe could heal. Hawk handed him a beer. "Think he'll change?" Ryder shrugged. "Maybe, maybe not. But the world saw what happened today. And sometimes that's enough." In the distance, thunder rolled again, soft, forgiving this time. Ryder looked at his men. "Tomorrow we ride north," Tank grinned. "What's up there?" "Don't know," Ryder said. "But someone else always needs help." He looked once more at Mira, sleeping peacefully, her pink bike shining faintly in the firelight. For the first time in years, Ryder felt something he thought he'd buried: hope. The next morning, Redridge woke to a quiet headline that carried like wind through coffee shops and gas stations. "Local CEO funds single mother after biker's visit." No one said hellsangels out loud, but everyone knew. The town buzzed, half in fear, half in admiration. People who once crossed the street to avoid leather jackets now nodded respectfully. But Ryder didn't care about headlines. His concern was the woman still sitting by the tree with her daughter. He returned alone, engine low, boots heavy in dew. Clara was awake, folding the blanket. "I didn't expect to see you again," she said softly. Ryder shrugged. "Didn't plan to leave yet." She smiled faintly. "You've done enough." "Not really," he said. "You've got a roof yet." She hesitated, glancing toward the shelter sign at the park's edge. Ryder nodded, understanding. "That's not a home," he murmured. "It's a stop between storms." Ryder spent the day making calls, quiet ones. The local mechanic owed him a favor. The diner lady, Miss Jean, had once buried her son, wearing a patch from Ryder's chapter. She remembered what loyalty looked like. By sunset, a small house on Hollow Creek Road, abandoned since spring, had lights again. A roof that didn't leak. Doors that locked. Cabinets stocked. No cameras, no charity receipts, just quiet restoration. When Ryder brought Clara and Mira there that evening, they stood frozen at the doorstep. This is for us?" Clara whispered. Ryder nodded. "You'll fix it better than I could." She covered her mouth, tears spilling before words could form. "Why?" He looked away, jaw tightening. "Because once, someone helped me when I didn't think I was worth saving either." The porch light flickered on. For the first time in years, Clara felt safe enough to breathe. And for the first time in years, Ryder didn't feel alone. Days passed quietly. The Red Ridge chapter drifted north, but Ryder stayed behind. He fixed the house's roof with Tank's spare tools, replaced hinges, repainted the porch. Every nail driven carried a kind of healing he didn't expect. Clara cooked small meals, grateful but unsure how to repay him. Mira followed him everywhere, laughing, asking about bikes, calling him Mr. Wolf because of the patch on his vest. Sometimes Ryder caught himself smiling before remembering why he'd stopped long ago. His daughter Lucy would have been 8 this year, same as Mira. That ache returned like a ghost, but this time it didn't hollow him out. It reminded him why he rode. One night Clara stepped onto the porch. "You don't have to keep fixing things," she said. Ryder smiled faintly, setting his wrench down. "Guess I don't know how to stop." She looked at him then, really looked, and said softly, "Maybe you were never meant to. But peace rarely stays untested." 2 days later, Ryder found a black SUV parked across the road. Engine off, but windows tinted. A man in a suit leaned against it, watching. When Ryder walked closer, the man straightened. "Mr. Kane, I'm with Hensley's office. My boss sent me to deliver something." He held out an envelope. Inside, a check for $50,000. Ryder's jaw tensed. "She doesn't want his guilt money." "It's not guilt," the man said, voice brittle. "It's repayment." Ryder tore the check in half. "Then he can keep his soul clean another way." The man started to protest, but Ryder's stare shut him up. "Tell your boss this. Redemption ain't for sale." When he left, Clara stood in the doorway, hands trembling. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. Ryder turned to her, eyes steady. "I didn't save you for money. I did it because someone should have done it sooner." That night rain came hard, the kind that drummed on rooftops like memory. Inside the small house, warmth glowed golden. Mira slept on the couch, clutching her teddy bear. Clara sat by the fire, watching Ryder mend a broken chair leg. She spoke softly, afraid to disturb the peace. "You ever think about leaving this life? The road, the leather, the noise?" Ryder chuckled quietly. "Every time I ride. But it's who I am. The road. It's the only place that forgives me." She studied him for a long moment, then said, "Maybe forgiveness isn't out there. Maybe it's sitting right in front of you." Ryder froze, the hammer still in his hand. Her words landed deeper than he wanted to admit. He looked up, eyes tired but soft. "You sound like my wife used to." Clara smiled faintly. Maybe she's still talking through people who listen. Outside, thunder rolled again, but it didn't sound angry anymore. Morning broke soft and golden, the kind that made Redridge look gentler than it was. Ryder sat on the porch steps, coffee steaming in his hands. He watched as Mira rode her pink bike in circles across the yard, training wheels, bumping over roots. Her laughter rose like sunlight breaking through clouds. Clara joined him, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. "She's smiling again," she said quietly. Ryder nodded, eyes following the little girl. "Yeah, reminds me there's still good left to see." Clara hesitated, then asked, "You ever think about what comes next?" Ryder sipped his coffee, staring toward the distant hills. "Next is the road," he said. "Always is." She looked down. "And us?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a small silver chain with a wing pendant and placed it in her hand. "For luck," he said. She held it tight. "Or for remembering." The next day, word came from Hawk. Hensley had been found on the news again, this time for donating $500,000 to the town's food bank. People were calling him a saint. Ryder said nothing, only exhaled slow. Maybe guilt finally grew a heart, but deep down he knew something had shifted. A single act of compassion had rippled through a world that only understood money. And it started with a little girl and a bike. Later that afternoon, Ryder took Mira for a ride around the block. She wore his oversized leather gloves, the fingers flopping loose. "You look like a real angel now," he teased. She grinned, wind tangling her hair. "Then I'll ride like one." Clara stood at the fence watching them. Her heart swelled with something fragile, hope mixed with gratitude, and maybe something more. For the first time since her world had fallen apart, she believed in tomorrow again. When dusk came, Ryder stood by his Harley, strapping his gear tight. The sky burned amber over the ridge. Clouds streaked like smoke trails. Mira ran up out of breath. "You're leaving?" He knelt, brushing her hair back gently. "Just for now, little one. Got miles to ride, promises to keep." She looked up, eyes brimming. "Will you come back?" Ryder smiled softly. "You'll hear me before you see me." He handed her a small patch, the hellsangels wing, stitched with silver thread. "Keep that safe. It means family." She held it close to her chest as if it were made of gold. Clara stood by the porch, silent tears tracing her cheeks. Ryder walked to his bike, engine growling alive, chrome catching the fading light. He didn't look back, but he didn't need to. Some goodbyes didn't end things. They only made room for the next beginning. The convoy waited at the edge of town, their engines idling low beneath the dying sun. Tank raised 2 fingers in salute as Ryder approached. "You good, boss?" Ryder nodded. "Yeah, just left something worth protecting." Hawk smirked. "Looks like you finally believe again." Ryder revved the engine once, letting the sound echo through the hills. "Belief's dangerous," he said, "but maybe it's what keeps us human." They rode out in formation, black vests glowing red under the sunset. Behind them, the small house on Hollow Creek stood like a promise fulfilled. Warm light spilling from its windows, a pink bike leaning against the fence. And somewhere between the wind and the thunder of wheels, Ryder felt it, his daughter's laugh, his wife's voice, Clara's strength, Mira's hope, all blending into one truth. You don't have to save the world, just one person at a time. Night fell soft across the open highway. Stars scattered like sparks on velvet sky. The angels rode beneath them, 12 silhouettes bound by brotherhood, loyalty, and something deeper than blood. Ryder led the line, wind clawing at his jacket, heart steady in the hum of the road. He didn't think of revenge anymore. He thought of kindness, of how it looked raw and simple when shown by men the world misunderstood. Behind him, Tank's voice crackled through the radio. "Where to next, boss?" Ryder smiled beneath his helmet. "Wherever someone's still fighting alone." The engines roared louder, carrying their vow into the dark. And back in Red Ridge, a little girl taped her cardboard sign to her wall, not as a memory of hunger, but as proof that strangers can become angels when the world forgets to care. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, can spark change far beyond what we see. Stay strong, stay human, and keep believing in compassion that rides louder than judgment.